What up, people? It is the one, it is the only. It is your boy, Mr. Noland. Alright, guys, today I'm going to create a video on adding and subtracting fractions. Alright, so there are three main rules. The first thing when you're adding or subtracting fractions is the fractions must have a common denominator. The common denominator is the number at the bottom of the fraction. They must be the same. Once you get a common denominator, step 2 then is to either add or subtract your numerators, which are the top numbers. And you will put the numerator, the new numerator, over the common denominator. And step 3 only applies if your answer is an improper fraction. An improper fraction is where the numerator, the top number, is bigger than the denominator, the bottom number. If that's the case, you must turn it into a mixed fraction. So let's do some examples. The first example we have is 1/2 plus 6/8. Notice the denominators are not the same, so I cannot add them. But what numbers does both 2 and 8 go into evenly? Well, they both go into 8 evenly. 2 can go into 8 4 times, so multiply it by 4. And 8 can go into 8 one time, so you have to multiply that by 1, but you don't really have to because you'll get the same answer. So let's multiply. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. So there's your new fraction. Well, look now. You now have a common denominator. The numbers on the bottom are the same. So since we have that, you can now add the numerators. 4 plus 6 is 10. And you put that over your common denominator, which is 8. Now, if you notice, I have an improper fraction. An improper fraction is where your numerator is bigger than your denominator. So we're going to create a mixed fraction now. The way you do that, you have to ask yourself, how many times can 8 go into 10? Well, 8 can go into 10 one time. With how much remaining? Well, 10 minus 8 gives you a remainder of 2. And then you put that over the common denominator, which is 8. So your mixed fraction is 1 2/8. Now, if you're done, we're going to take points off because we're not done yet. This 2 over 8 can be simplified. What number goes into both 2 and 8? Well, 2 does. So if you divide both numbers by 2, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. You just now simplified your answer to the simplest terms. Okay. Let's try another example. Let's look at number 2. 9 and 3. Those are our denominators. They're not the same. But what number will both 9 and 3 go into evenly? They will both go into 9. So since this since this denominator is 9, I'm not going to touch that fraction, leave it alone. How many times can 3 go into 9 evenly? Well, 3 times, so let's multiply by 3. This fraction, again, I did not touch, bring it down. 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 3 is 9. You now have a common denominator. So now add your numerators. 7 plus 6 is 13 over your common denominator of 9. Once again, if you tell me that's your final answer, we're going to take points off. We don't want answers to be an improper fraction. We want to see I'll be able to convert an improper fraction to a mixed fraction. So again, ask yourself, how many times can 9 go into 13 evenly? Well, 9 can go into 13 evenly one time. With how much remaining? Well, 13 minus 9 is 4, so there's your remainder over what's your common denominator? Common denominator here is 9. Can this fraction be simplified any lower? No, it cannot. There's your answer. Now let's do one where we're subtracting. Again, look at your denominators. They are not the same. So we have to create create a common denominator. In this case, my common denominator would be 6. 6 can go into 6, and 2 can go into 6. So since this denominator is already 6, I'm not going to mess with it, bring it down. I have to turn this denominator into a 6 by multiplying by 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. You now have a common denominator. Since you have a common denominator, subtract your numerators. 5 minus 3 is 2. Your common denominator is 6. If you tell me this is your answer, you are now partially right. We want you to simplify it to its simplest terms. So what number can go into both 2 and 6 evenly? Well, 2. So divide them both by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. There's your answer in simplest form. Alright guys, I hope this video helps on the rules for adding and subtracting fractions. I'll make another video on multiplying and then another video on dividing of fractions a little bit later. Y'all have a great evening, guys. Talk to y'all soon. Alright, bye.